Cool. So today we have got Sheel, who we're going to be talking to.
Hello.
I will let you introduce yourself before we get started on our chat and our podcast today. So I'll let you go for it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sheel. I've known Cheetah probably, over 10 years, I'd like to say.
Although we didn't know
Knew
of
each other through people, but then went on a dental course together and then connected. And then have been on, I guess, my own kind of journey in the last 4.5 years. Lockdown was a bit of a game changer with how I thought about a lot of things, and I started to make a lot of changes, and it's kind of been an upward journey from then.
I love that. Thank you for that introduction. And what I actually love, like what you said about lockdown, I'll be honest, like for some people, I felt it was like a time to bake loads of banana bread and get really drunk. And for other people, it was like the other side of like focusing on themselves, fitness, because I guess we've never had that time not to work. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what was like your experience of lockdown, and like people around you, were they kind of on a similar thing, or did you have a lot of banana bread friends?
I did do a fair bit of cooking. Despite the egg shortage, I managed to get around that.
Was there an egg shortage?
Yeah, you were only allowed, I think, 2 eggs per person. In my local store, we were banned from getting more eggs. So, loads of cooking. But I can't even think what the specific trigger was. I mean, I started, I think, by doing a lot of the hit videos on YouTube. And for me, I think it was just, I actually really enjoyed it. I had a great time. Obviously, being a dentist, I couldn't go to the practice. So I was doing the work from home as much as I could. But I just found it really therapeutic to kind of shut everything else out from life. And whether that was social, even family interactions, it was very minimal. I thought it was really rejuvenating, despite the health crisis going on. But
and everything happening.
Everything else happening. But I really enjoyed those 3 months, I think, just to myself, and got me thinking about a lot of things, which was great.
I think as well, like we sometimes need that time to be able to not go into the practice to see patients, to actually have that mental space and be like, okay, what do I want to focus on? Because I guess we're all guilty of like never having enough time to do things, and then we were given time.
A lot of time, and you're thinking, oh wow, now what do I do? And I'm not just work home, and it was time to think about, without sounding too corny, like deeper things. And things I'd wanted to implement for a long, long time, but was going through this yo-yo of back and forth and never really getting anywhere or making any kind of long-term changes, which was a big thing.
Because we were talking about that, like on a side note before, weren't we? About it's quite easy to yo-yo and things like that, but to do something for a long time and to also maintain it, but to tell other people you're doing it, and then to make sure like we don't get affected by any judgment and things. Like I think those are the challenging bits. If you don't get me wrong,
definitely. Yeah, especially like socially, I think the culture is a lot of. It revolves around a lot of eating and drinking, and that's how you connect with people, and it's just trying to balance that with what is important to you. And I think finding, okay, if I really want this, I'll have it. I'm not going to deprive myself. But at the same time, if I don't feel like I need to have that drink, or if I'm not really into it, I don't need to force myself just for social pressure. That was like a thing. But I think I remember saying to you when we first had a phone call, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, but I still want to, do my PT on the side. And I don't think I had full faith in myself or in the whole journey, and in what I didn't know what to expect, basically. And it was life-changing. I mean, I now wear a Fitbit on my ankle, and so many people have commented on that. And just even being at work, I'm conscious of, I'll go and get my patients, sit back down. At lunchtime, I'm walking around. I mean, it's just like a whole different way of life, but it's also inspired, I think, a few people close to me in my life, for example, my parents, and, they see what I do day to day and how I approach meals and workouts, and it helps. It's good. It's a mindset shift for sure.
Yeah, and I think as what you were saying is that you're kind of like, when you're in that same environment, you either could have just chosen to sat there and talk to other people, or you can stay active in that time, and one's going to lead a healthier lifestyle and one's going to be a really unhealthy lifestyle, right? So it's like having that choice, making it, and then kind of following through with it as well, and then inspiring others around you as well.
And I remember someone asking me, and they were just like, oh, don't you, when will you stop this? Or there was a question to that effect. And I was kind of like, to me, it doesn't feel forced at this point, because I've done it for such a long time that, you know, my steps is just part of what I do in the evenings. And I don't feel like it's just part of life. And,
like,
you know, I have this massive 3-liter water tank, and I've taken it to so many family events, and it's always on my desk at work, and loads of comments being passed on, how can you drink that much water? And I can't drink that much water, and it's just crazy. And and then I go away, and I'm like, the first thing I need to do, I mean, I was telling you when I was in Germany, I was just like, okay, I need to go and get a 2-liter water bottle because I need to hydrate. And it just becomes part of you. And I definitely can say, beyond all the, fitness changes and lifestyle changes, I think for me, it really helped me confidence-wise, because I was always very insecure with my weight and how I looked. And it stems a lot to, I guess, parts of my upbringing and things that I was conditioned to feel. And I now, I can just brush it off my shoulder now. And it was just... really, really game changing.
Oh, I love that. It's so nice, like, to actually hear it, because obviously, like, I'll see it in, like, a message or something, but to actually hear it out loud is like, so nice.
Definitely. And it just makes you think that actually, that's why I felt so insecure. And now I've taken those steps to change myself. It wasn't because someone told me to. And I think that's the main thing, that if you do want to make those changes, you have to believe it in yourself first, and no one else can tell you to do it. It has to be something that you want to do.
And that's what makes it a lifelong change as well. Like, if it comes from you, then you're actually going to keep up with it. If it's a reaction to someone's words or what someone else has said, it's kind of like you're trying to do it for them, but you're not doing it for you. And then it's like going back into a yo-yo, for example, or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But what's so interesting is what, if you don't mind me kind of touching on this, was that you were saying about, like, the belief of, can I do this? Because I guess when we've done something where we've done it, then we've not done it, not done it, we can kind of lose that belief in ourselves. So what would you say was, like, that moment when you were like, oh, actually, I can do it, and I also don't need my PT anymore, because he's also noticed how good you're looking and, like, your strength and stuff.
I still see him at the gym, and it's a bit awkward because my mum still trains with him. And so I started with him, and then my mum kind of tagged on to the back of that, and then I left and she carried on. And I feel like he still tries to give me his 2 cents and, do this and make sure your reps are like this. And I'm kind of like, okay, that's great, but I have the confidence that I know what to do. And I trained with him as well to learn my form and things from before. So now it's just pushing my own boundaries. But the belief thing, I don't know. I think probably seeing the change. And I guess the benefit of lockdown was there wasn't a lot of social things or holidays or things in the way of that. So I could just really focus on myself. And then when you start to see the change, it kind of becomes this cascading effect when you're like, oh, my jeans now feel different. Or I had this one dress that I bought from many years ago. I don't know if you remember it. It's like a tweed dress.
Oh, wait, I thought you meant there was a floral
No,
one.
it is floral, but it's this really stiff material. So it's very not forgiving. And I bought it, never even trying it, but one of my friends owned it, and I was like, oh, I love this dress, and I'd never been able to wear it. And then I remember going to a brunch with some of my friends, and it was a couple of years ago, and I wore that dress, and it was always my gold dress, and they were just like, oh my God, like, you look so different. And it was such an achievement for me, because that was the one item that I knew would tell me, like, whether I'd got there or not, and how it felt was really good.
And that feeling in that dress when you're like, this is the dress that now does up properly.
And it doesn't stretch, and it you can see everything. So
I love that. And as
great.
you said as well, like, it can really impact confidence
100%,
as well, because when there are
100%.
certain clothes that you've got and then they're not zipping up, or you're like, oh, it's so frustrating that it's in my cupboard, and it's like, I don't know, like, for you, but it was like a mental release kind of thing, that you don't need to then think about those things as much anymore, because you're like, actually, I can wear these things and I don't need to stress. And I guess like style of clothing can sometimes change as well.
Yeah. I mean, I started like tucking tops in. I went down a size in my jeans, and I was like, you know, these are expensive jeans. I'm not going up again. And I think also, aside from, I mean, being a dentist, I'm living in scrubs 24/7. That's all I wear. So you don't see the changes until you wear those clothes sometimes. But having that confidence from that aspect translates into other aspects of your life. So for example, you know, how I'm going to converse with a patient, or how I'm going to meet someone new. And you just have that inner confidence from those simple changes. And I think it can translate into other areas as well, which is empowering, really, which is good.
I love that. Especially like when it's like talking to patients and things like that as well, because you kind of feel like more of a leader, and it's like they trust you a little bit more, and it's like
not to kind of pass judgment on others, but you see those, for example, those GPs who smoke, but then they'll tell their patients not to smoke. And it's, you know, if someone's going to ask me about, oh, what kind of snack should I have, or what should I feed my kids? And it's something I do feel quite passionately about, telling or informing parents what to give their kids, because it has to start from that young age as well. And they'll come in and they'll comment on my water tank and, you know, oh, my kid doesn't drink water, but how do you drink that? So it's sharing that information as well is just equally as important for people who want to know anyway.
And it's nice that people will pick up on those things as well, like seeing your water tank, because it's like a bit of an icebreaker, because people are like nervous of the dentist, and they're like, whoa, if she can drink that, then she's going to be good at what she does.
And I also, hands up, bought a faulty one off Amazon, so it doesn't stand up straight, so it looks like the Leaning Tower pizza, and then even more of a conversation to bring up, why do you have a wonky water bottle? But it's funny. And as you said as well, like it all does start from like a young age, because I remember, like, you know, when you get those patients where there's like lots of decay in their teeth, and the parents would be like, oh, they just eat the chocolate. And I'm like, well, you buy the chocolate, you have it in the house, you're giving the access to them. And then not in a harsh way, but those parents typically won't really be thinking about their health, or like the way they are in shape and things like that. So do you find as well, like when you're able to give that advice, like people will take it on board more, I guess, because for their best interest? I guess I'll only kind of really go into it if someone asks me more so, because I think what I've realized, especially with, you know, telling people all day to floss and certain things, is that they have to have that kind of inquisitiveness themselves, or they should want to know that information, and then I will happily share it. But just me telling someone equally like, oh, do this, do that, I don't think it gets received very well all the time. So you kind of have to gauge what do they actually want to hear from you, and how can you tailor it to certain people as well.
I love that.
But just knowledge in terms of, I mean, this is sidetrack from patients, but just even learning about how, you know, I always was told that, oh, lentils really high in protein, and they are a good protein source, but hadn't appreciated the carb side of things. So it's just understanding like how does different food work in the body, and it's not just, oh, I'm on a diet, but actually what does this food do for me? I mean, I think I told you recently that I'd started introducing this salad bowl with my meal, and it was a really recent thing, literally in the last week, and it was just literally spinach, cucumber, tomatoes. It sounds really boring, but I'd put like bit of lemon, bit of salt, and a tiny bit of olive oil in, and actually it was just so great for my gut, and so great for just, you know, fiber and digestion, and you just notice certain things and how your body then reacts to it, and does that make you bloat, does that not make you bloat? And
it's a whole like educational side, isn't it? And also what works for you and your body, because again, like someone else may have that same salad and they're like, this has done nothing for me, or like I'm constipated or something like that. And that's why I really love, like, we can have that openness, like if you've had like a bit of a colon cleanse or something, it's like
and I tend to share that with you quite frequently.
That's the stuff that works though, and that really helps, because then again I know like, okay, what foods are working for you, or like what is bunging you up, because then that is going to trigger bloat, that's going to then make us really lethargic, we're going to feel really tired, and then it has like a knock-on effect on everything else. And it's also like thinking about like our sleep, our like, you know, even like processed foods and things like that. Like
that was a big thing that I mean, when I started thinking about, oh, I really want to shed some weight, I wasn't thinking about the quality of food I was having, and that's something that's really changed in the last few years, because I would just get quite a lot of processed meats and think, oh yeah, great, it's got loads of protein in it, I'm just going to eat that. and, you know, think everything's fine. And I actually had, at one point, I had really, really bad skin. And whether it was directly related to that or like wearing all the masks at work and stuff, I don't know. But it was bad. And then recently I've been, I think, just being really more aware of the ingredients in certain foods. And like, I told you, I changed my protein powder recently.
And then you were happy that it was the same one as mine. I'll show you mine. It's
amazing.
There,
I know. I was so proud. I was like,
she was
okay,
like, tick.
Worth the change. Amazing. But yeah, just like the quality of food. And I'm trying, there's so much packaged stuff and everything's got so much extra stuff in it and loads of words you don't know. And it's kind of just taking that all away and going back to basics and sticking to the more natural foods. And
it's also so much better for the body. And I think as well, it's quite easy to get locked into like calories and macros at certain points, especially if the goal is just to lose weight. But when you're actually thinking about energy levels or how I want my body to feel or health, especially.
And like long-term health as well, not just, I'm going to get into these jeans in the next 6 months, but it kind of goes beyond that in that, you know, my parents are getting older now and I want to maintain a kind of certain level of fitness and health when I'm their age. And learning more about, you know, as a woman going through the menopause and losing the bone density, there's just so much to it. And it's trying to like prevent that as much as possible.
Together as well. Like, even with, like, the training is like making sure like going heavier, but then you're having like the right food to help support that.
Sustain that.
And like one of the reasons why I say like calories and macros don't matter as much as we may think, because even there'll be some days like say if carbs or something have gone over, I'm like, we've had it from vegetables or we've had it from something fibrous. So actually it's not as going to be as detrimental as if you had 10 cakes that were like that, which is like super processed. So.
And I used to, actually thinking back to that, I used to chase this, I know you talk about chasing the scale and stuff, but that was literally me like weighing myself 3 times a week and I was like, 0.01 has gone up and, you know, and it's just, it's not even about that. I think you just kind of evolve as you kind of change
and older.
And you just want to do the best for your body. Definitely.
And I think as well, like as we get older, we see other people go through other things and that will have an impact on us, and seeing like our parents get older and then thinking, okay, if that's their age, I number one want to be able to be as active as them, but imagine if they're 10 years older or 15 years older and I've got to help them, have I got that strength to be able to help them
to do that?
And that's like, it's just thinking of that long-term bit, because I know like I remember like when my dad was in hospital and he needed help like being hoisted up the bed, and I remember my sisters were like, you can do it, and I'm like, okay, that's just like maybe you guys should also get strong as well. But, you know, just those things that you wouldn't even
don't think
of,
about it.
You've got that strength to be able to move like a human body, or even just being able to help with like shopping bags, or you know when you get like a cardio order and you can pick the boxes up and things like that. Like these are just like basic things that I guess we can take for granted, but things like weight
like
training,
not getting out of breath walking up the stairs, or I mean I'm really weird, and in the tube I'll always walk up the stairs and I'm the only one on the left and everyone else is on the right, and I'm like, come on, move.
It's weird, people get annoyed at that person walking and I'm like, you guys are hogging, like you're just standing.
They just stand they don't know to stand on the right. But I'll tell like whoever I'm with, I'm like, see you at the other end.
Because they'll happily just stay on the escalator.
They'll just wait, like, and I think I'm just too impatient to wait 3 minutes to slowly go up. So.
But also, why stand for 3 minutes when you can just walk for 3 minutes?
Yes,
or 2 minutes maybe.
And I think, actually, thinking back on that, my dad was always a stickler for take the stairs, and I never listened to him. But now I just find that I do naturally just choose that path as well.
Yeah, obviously helps when the step count goes up and things like that.
Yes, my ankle's vibrating, and I'm thinking, great, 10,000.
It's so handy, like those little things are quite motivating though, I feel. Like, you know, that little vibration, and it's like, yes,
you know, you've done something.
Yeah, especially like being out and about, I find it so much easier than like if you're at home trying to hit a target, like going out into London or going shopping or something like that. It's always
you don't think about it because you're just moving around, you're just walking, and it's just effortless.
It's like mindless kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
And we were kind of talking about like even like other podcasts and things that you listen to, and like little things that you've like picked up. So are there any like nuggets that, obviously you can quote Jay Shetty, I won't get offended or anything like that. Any like
that's
nuggets
my commute
of, like,
podcast. What was I just telling you now? I can't think. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one.
I think it's really interesting. And I wasn't. Oh wait, is it? No, it wasn't the meditation. No.
It was something about, they did a study about people sitting with their thoughts and the difference between men and women, and they had the option to either sit with their thoughts for 3 minutes or kill themselves really drastically. And a surprising number of people actually chose they would rather kill themselves than sit with their thoughts for 3 minutes.
It was that morbid. Sorry.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Sorry. But it's a bit like other experiments which they have when it's like you've got that marshmallow and it's like, can you sit there for 3 minutes and you get a fresh one, or do you have the stale one because you haven't got willpower or something like that? And again, it's like knowing how to control your mind, because it's quite like a skill. It's a lot of like the journey we were saying, it's not actually about like the food, or obviously the food and the exercise is what gets the progress, but it's how we think about it. And even like when you go out and things are like, I know that you love your sticky toffee and like custard.
Chicken satay.
And your chicken satay. But it's not like we never said
toffee.
Don't have it. It will be like, okay, if you have like 3 servings, like we're a little bit screwed maybe. But if you have like 1 serving, sit there, enjoy it. And like
actually now I realize I tend to just share. If I'm having a dessert, it's always a shared one.
Yeah.
And I don't think very, very rarely, I mean, 1 sticky toffee. I think sticky toffee would probably be my downfall in having the whole thing. But rarely I just have like a couple of spoons and I'm done. Like I don't really feel the need to finish the whole thing. It has to be exceptional for that. So also your kind of taste buds change with that, I think, as well.
I think you enjoy it more, right? Because you're not having it all the time.
Yeah.
So you can,
but also I find like, I don't know if I told you, I find that I'm more aware of when something's sweet. So I think I don't really crave those sweet things. Like I'm not really a chocolate person. I mean, I have my dark chocolate every day. It's like
that's okay,
1 square. And I just allow it. But I think you always know something's up when I'm like, I've tracked Maltesers and like random chocolates.
I'm like, what happened at work?
Yeah.
Was your day okay?
Yeah. I think I just don't really care about that kind of stuff. Like I used to love like cola bottles, and it's not that I don't ever have those anymore, but you just gravitate towards other things.
Yeah. And also when you're actually quite full, it's a different story. Like sometimes you can have it because you're a little bit hungry or something, but actually if you've had like your salad like with your main and stuff like that,
so filling.
It's more just it's there, so you've like had like, you know, different
and definitely for me, I think what works better is to have 3 proper meals. I think I mentioned it recently, 3 proper meals. Not that, I'll have breakfast, but then I'll just not eat till dinner or just try and stick it out, because I just then crave so much. And it's really, really obvious that I'm just wanting like random things like I'll never choose to eat just for the sake of trying to fill myself.
And it's such a slippery slope because you kind of lose control over that as well. But if you know you're having 3 meals, you already know when your next meal is.
Exactly. So and let's face it, anyone who knows me knows my life is planned around food. So.
Well, don't worry, so is mine.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing, like a lot of the time people think they've got to restrict or cut things out, and it's actually like you've just got to plan it nicely. And like even like when you're out with friends, it's like just planning it well. So it's just knowing what you're going to have and what you can enjoy. And obviously if you have too much of it, then it's a bit different.
Then you feel the effects the next day.
The clothes will be like, they're getting a little bit tight or something like that. And I guess actually if you did have some wise words for someone who's listening about either thinking about joining like their journey as like with us, or even just doing their own thing, would there be any like tips or?
I think, I mean, definitely when I first started, I think I remember telling you, this is just unachievable. It just can feel really overwhelming, especially when you're trying to do so many things and you're thinking, steps and water and, oh my gosh, protein, like that,
what is this?
Like 100 or whatever grams. That's just insane. I think you just kind of have to not be harsh on yourself and take it one step at a time. And, you know, no one's saying you have to dive in and do your 10,000 steps on the first few days or first few weeks. It definitely comes as you build on it. But the main thing is that you're trying and that you're trying every day. It's not just, I'll do it for one day this week. And, you know, next week we'll start again on Monday and then reset. I think you just have to every day work a little bit towards it, and things like water, I mean, you just underestimate the power of water, and you know, don't try and flood yourself with 2-3 liters a day. You kind of have to work up to it, but it's the consistency. And I think having a really good network of people around you, and like I know for you, I can just message you any time of the day if I'm feeling crap, if I'm feeling great, and I just get like a really positive response all the time. And I'm like, how are you so positive? I don't understand. And I'm like moaning about this, that, and the other. And I think having the right network and people around you is really helpful, really uplifting. And
you.
do one step at a time.
Yeah,
would
I think
say
that's the best advice, because when you kind of go all in and then you don't do it, then you can also feel like, oh, I can't do this. I
can't achieve this, and then you want to give up, and then
it's like baby steps kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just also like not having to be perfect all the time. So just being like, okay, actually, this is the most that I can do.
Yeah.
Okay, now what? Let me work around it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also like, yeah, thanks for saying that I'm positive. Sometimes I'm like,
always,
have I been okay? Or like, but I think because I've also been through the journey, so I think I actually can empathize. Like, when you have had that day, and I'm like, oh my god, I remember feeling like that, and it was really hard. But actually, what would I have wanted someone to say to me, kind of thing? And then I try and tailor it to what would Sheel need to hear as well. So it's
definitely
making sure that,
and I think you need that. I mean, fair play to people who just embark on this journey themselves and they figure it out. But it definitely helps to have someone in your corner and supporting you and guiding you. And I don't know if I would have ever got to where I got without your coaching, if I'm really honest. And I know like a lot of my, some of my friends have spoken to you, and like looking at my parents now, it's just shocking. And I even have, couple of girls at work that are going into certain protein things and stuff, and it just has that kind of cascading knock-on effect. And if I feel like I'm going off track, and you've got that kind of center point to pull you back in, so it's not that, okay, you're done, you've hit where you wanted to, and see you later type thing. It is trying to take that further and make it life. And everyone falls off, and everyone will go through their moments or like stressful times where they think that, oh, I just really want that Nando's with the like with extra the mayo and and Nando's was my thing. Like once a week, that was a thing. But you do want that pullback, and I think for me, it really helps. To be honest.
And also as well, like, how sometimes on a Friday you'd be like, I'm so exhausted from work.
Oh
and
my
you're like,
gosh,
I really
Friday.
want a takeaway.
Oh,
and
I just can't.
Can we just plan the takeaway? Like, you're going to do it. Can we just plan it?
I tried so hard to be like, no, Friday I'm going to cook. Friday I'm going to cook.
It was like, just let's go.
You're just like, no, just don't even go there.
Because it's hard. It is hard after like 4 days. Like,
and I think it's just like a release from the week. And I'm like, okay, no, Fridays I have accepted I will not cook. And I will never cook. And I will
just enjoy the takeaway guilt-free.
Yes, I enjoy the takeaway guilt-free. But also I just tend to pick certain things now. So you're just aware of what you're ordering.
Yeah.
And even then, to be honest, afterwards, I'm like, actually, that was really salty. Or I could have made it slightly differently, but it was the laziness. So again, like everyone's human, and it's just a thing you have to
pick
work.
Our battles, haven't we? It's either
pick our battles.
We make it, or we pick up the soul, kind of thing.
Exactly. So it's trying to push through all of those barriers, and everyone has them, and it's individual.
It's so like inspiring to hearing your story as well. And I guess like what's been really interesting for us is a bit different, because obviously I've like seen you over the years, but not ever like really known you, and it's been so nice to actually see how far you've come. And it's like just seeing, obviously, because we do have like some mutual like friends and stuff, and like, everyone will be like, oh my god, like she looks so good, or she's done so well. And it's so heartwarming, like hearing that everyone else is also like so proud of you
like,
as
actually
well.
It's down to you, like this is your hard work paying off.
Well, you're a good role model. So, but thank you for always like taking it on board, because obviously it's one thing like me saying something or like coaching you to something, but it's another thing actually being like, no, I do trust what she says, or I believe that is like,
definitely
the right thing as well.
And
so
I know I was telling you this literally earlier about your like, I think the difference is having a background or understanding in healthcare and how the body works, and particularly how the female body works with hormones and all crazy things. It does really, I mean, I've learned so much from you, and it, you kind of need to know what you're doing. And in order for me to trust you, I have to know that you know what you're talking about. And it goes beyond the calories in and calories out. It's like the whole body is like a mechanism that works together, and if something's off sync, then you're not going to get what you want as a result, because your hormones are off or just something else. So
and hormones love going off quite quickly if things are off track, right? So it's like just reeling them back in. And
it's just more balance. It's more complex, I think, and definitely your background, I think, works in your favor in
and my geekiness of just loving to research everything inside out
Yeah.
as well. So
But it helps.
Yeah.
It helps.
But I do love it. I'm like obsessed with it, right?
Yeah.
So it probably shows a bit too much.
And then she moved to Dubai.
Yeah.
And I was like, how is this going to work? There's 4 hours time difference. What if I'm going to message you at 10 o'clock? It's going to be 2 a.m. And you were like, no, it's fine. Like, don't worry. Like, it's fine. And actually, to be honest, sometimes I just forget you're in Dubai.
Yeah,
So
which is good because that's my plan for like never to like make
I
it
literally was like, oh God, now she's moved. Now what am I gonna
until I
do?
post like sunny stories, and then you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
like so try and be mindful of that. And also
Yeah.
thank you for coming to Dubai, because that's
I
obviously where we are
know.
now.
Yeah.
And thank you for being like part of the retreat as well. Like
Yeah.
honestly, when you said you were going to come, it like really made my day. And I even remember like saying to Seema, I hope she won't mind me saying that, I was like, oh my God, like she was coming.
You're probably really shocked. Like, this person I messaged for like 5 years and now I'm going to see her face to face.
And actually spent time together and
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah.
But it's so nice because it just feels normal. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like odd or anything like that.
And then I
So-
forget actually how much I have shared with you and how much actually you know about me. But we
But
haven't
it's in
met
our
face to
vault, it's
face.
in our vault, so it stays within
Yes,
us, which is
yes.
important as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, it's been great coming out. I loved it. I've loved it so far.
Oh,
which is
amazing.
great.
Well, looking forward to tonight. Oh, you find out later
Yes.
what's going on.
The
as
suspense
well.
is killing me.
Oh no, now it's been overhyped
Oh,
and it's
no.
not going to like follow through. So I'll need to like add some extra stuff in or something. Oh, no, but thank you so much for like sharing your story with everyone. And
That's
it's just
okay.
been so nice. Like, yeah, just
It's
being
good
able
to
spend
talk
time.
about it actually, because it's not something I would say out loud ever. So
Yeah.
you then kind of reflect yourself. Like, oh yeah, this is where I was and this is where I am now. And
Yeah, and how far you've come as well.
yeah,
And, like,
yeah. So it's nice.
Oh, I
Share
love
that with others.
So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all right.